Hi, welcome to your number one aviation and tourism TV show, Mamaj TV. My name is Joy Ogbebo. Welcome to your number one aviation and tourism TV, Mamaj TV. My name is Joy Ogbebo. Today on Mamaj TV, we are happy to have with us in the studio Mrs. Tolulope Daudu, popularly known as Mrs. D. Tolu, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mama Day. Good evening.
Nice to have you again today.
It's always a pleasure being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So today on our program, we are going to be discussing passengers' expectations, or do we say customers' expectations? Now, each time a passenger pays for a ticket, he or she has expectations. Let's find out what the expectations are after this break.
Well, what I want, one of course is comfort, two, good service from the crew, three, smooth flight, nothing more than that. Okay?
Okay, my expectations for the flights are comfort, exceptional service, as well as no turbulence, and all in all a safe flight.
So I've never really flown Max Air before, so I'm just hoping for a safe flight and just to arrive on time really, because I have people waiting to pick me up, and really no turbulence because I've had one and it wasn't great, so I'm really trying to avoid all of those. Yeah, it's a peaceful flight really. I don't really have much I'm asking for at this point. Yeah.
Well, I expect that by the time we are told we're taking off, we shall surely take off at that time and land safely at our destination.
Welcome back. Now we have heard from the customers what their expectations are. So right here in the studios, Tolulope and I are going to just say one or two things about it. So Tolu,
Yes, Mama J.
from the time the passengers pay for their tickets, they have expectations.
Definitely.
I mean, if you were a passenger, what would your expectations be?
Thank you very much, Mama J. The truth of the matter is we all have expectations. It doesn't necessarily have to be where a flight is concerned, but in a flight, everybody, we all, when you go to the bank, there's something you expect. When you go to the supermarket, there's something you expect, And the same is true of our field, and even so much more because it's a very delicate and dicey field. The first thing what anybody wants is generally we use the term good service. And for passengers, first and foremost, why are passengers really taking flights? One, because they want to get to their destinations in good time and quickly. They could choose to go by road. Some of the destinations are late, but however, it will take quite a while. For instance, you want to go from Lagos to Abuja. Lagos to Abuja by road will take you 8-9 hours.
Of course.
But if you're going by air in less than an hour, you'll be there. So first and foremost, they want a timely flight. They want to be able to know that you say you're leaving at 8 o'clock, the flight leaves at 8 o'clock, and before 9 o'clock, they're in Abuja. That is a no-no. That's something that's non-negotiable for any passenger. Everybody wants to leave on time and get there on time. Unfortunately, a lot of the times, this doesn't happen. And there are a number of reasons. Some are genuine because there are certain things that are outside our purview. For instance, if the weather is bad,
Mm-hmm.
You can't go anywhere. It's beyond the airline.
Of course.
There's nothing they can do. If another aircraft has had an accident, VIP movement,
so
that can be
many-
annoying actually, but so there's so many things. But
Technical
first and
issues.
foremost, the passenger wants timeliness. It's very, very, he wants timeless. Secondly, wants to have a comfortable flight.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, once again, just like we talked when we're talking about timeliness, a comfortable flight will probably mean to most passengers no bumpy air.
You can't rule that out.
Or you can't rule that out because, once again, the weather is outside our purview. But apart from that, we want to, seats comfortable, the area, they're not too tight, it's not too loose. Yeah, I might be a bit on the big side, but I want to feel comfortable. I want to be able to talk to the cabin crew, for instance, and I expect that she talks to me like I am a human being. I'm somebody who has paid for his service and deserves to be treated well. I don't want a cabin crew walking past me and I press the call button or something and she ignores me. No, I want to feel like I'm your guest. I want to be treated like a guest. And how do we treat our guests? We look after them, take proper care of them. And that's basically what your passengers want. They don't want, it's not as if they want too much. They don't want too much. But there's some basic things that they want. So they want to be like, I'm sure you know that there's some passengers that are actually scared of flying.
Of course. In fact, if we have to really take statistics of passengers on a scale of 10 to 100%, I'll tell you that 80% of passengers who fly are scared to fly.
Very true.
They're actually scared to fly. So they always look forward to that reassurance. And it has to come from the crew member, the pilot, the cabin crew, and even the ground staffs as well.
Most especially from the cabin crew, because the moment your fears, if you're flying as a passenger for the very first time, your fears are not, when the door is still open, you can still do some bragado. But the moment you know that the door is closed, the captain is in the cockpit, mind you. He's left with the cabin crew.
With the cabin crew.
And so if the cabin crew has a face that is showing fear because she doesn't understand what's going on or she's confused about what's going on, definitely that fear is being transferred to the passenger, and that makes everything. So a passenger is looking forward to having a swell flight. It's just 50 minutes. He wants 50 minutes that are seamless, that just go, and before he knows it, he's in Abuja. He might even choose to take a nap. He wants to be comfortable. He wants to, have people talk to him like, he actually is their guest. And that's part of what passengers, it's not as if they expect you to come and clean their shoes or do some funny thing. No, they just want to be treated like the guests that they are. And that's what is expected. Timeliness, quality service.
Safety.
Of course, no, that one is not
I think that should be one of the
That's
number
number one. Safety is number one.
They just want to fly safe.
And that's probably one of the reasons why people pick the airlines that they pick. Even though there's some, when we talk, sometimes we find out that, well, it's not always true that they pick safety. People look for the cheapest flights, actually. Most people, when they fly, they look at the different airlines and they choose to say, okay, this one is charging 80,000 to Abuja. This one is charging 60. This one is charging 55. I think I'm going to pick. I need to look at my pocket. So passengers, the truth of the matter is we all do it. We look at that. However, even when you're flying an airline because it's cheaper than the other, you still expect the standards to be maintained. And of course, the Civil Aviation Authority is responsible for setting the standards. And it doesn't matter whether you're costlier than another airline. The truth of the matter is those standards have to be kept, and safety is the number one standard for airlines that service passengers, and passengers of course expect that you give them a safe journey, amongst other things.
Absolutely. Now, Tolu, how do you think the airlines can measure if they are meeting up the expectations of the customers. You know, sometimes I believe that airlines should have systems in place where they can track if they are really meeting up the expectations of the passengers. How do you think they can do that? Because that will really help them to improve on their operations from time to time.
Definitely.
I recall that I worked in an airline where we had a feedback system whereby passengers could express their concerns, reservations, their complaints, and then it goes back to the customer service department, which was very, very active, proactive, and so it made it easier for them to know that these are what the passengers really want. Because I remember our in-flight service then, we used to do a survey. Sometimes we want to find out from them, do they like what we are serving now? Would they want us to change it? I recall there was a time we were serving egusi, egusi and semo on board because passengers requested for it and they really liked it then. So how do you think that airlines can track customers' feedback, concerns, and at least you help them to improve on their services? Because the essence of service is to ensure that the customers are satisfied. So we constantly need to find out what they want and then
Definitely.
tailor whatever services they have to meet those needs.
The truth of the matter is, it has to be some form of feedback system. And there are various ways by which it can be done. Like you said, it could be a survey. You could reach out to people. It takes a lot of time, over the call. Or you could have situations where you engage your customers. Maybe, the customers, your regular customers. Some airlines have frequent flyer programs. Once in a while, invite them for a little get together. It doesn't have to be for too long. Encourage them, and then also find out the feedback. And the thing about it is why a lot of people don't give feedback is simply because most times, if I give you feedback, if I give an airline feedback, I expect you to respond. One, by letting me know that you have received this feedback. Two, by also finding out what you're going to do to improve the feedback that I've spoken about. The feedback could be constructive, it could be developmental. It doesn't matter what kind of feedback it is. You should be able to give a response to the person. I know it takes a lot, but one of the things I have discovered that happens across board, it's not just the airline industry, is that we set up organizations and we don't respond to feedback. You even got banks that it will take them 7 days to respond to feedback. And that is when you're a customer-based organization, that is completely a no-no. Customers must be able to give you feedback because it is the feedback at the end of the day that helps you to improve. It lets you know what your customers want from you. It lets you know actually why your customers actually fly your airline. Now, for instance, if you do a survey and find out that people fly you because you depart on time, it means that they value the fact that you have on-time departure, and that's why they fly. And maybe you find out that your first, second, third flights of the day are always full. It's simply because they know that you may have other areas, but as long as you maintain that standard of timeliness,
Consistency.
people are going to fly you. It doesn't matter if your service is crappy because, what do you really want to serve somebody in less than 45 minutes? You can't really serve that much. So I can probably pick a snack or buy something when I'm coming, eat it before I get on board, and then I'm good to go. I don't need your food on board, because it's crappy. But the fact is, you are leaving on time, and that's what I value. For some other person, it's like, we know that their staff are warm, they're kind, they're cheerful. You can't have a dull moment on the flight. Every time I fly them, it's just to create fun. So for such a person, it might not be the timeliness, but the fact that each time he travels with that airline, he's at ease. People want to be at ease. So different people want different things. But of course, nobody wants to be delayed at the airport for 6 hours.
Of course.
Of course, there are times when it is, there's nothing we can do about it. Harmattan season, once it comes in, for each airport, you must have a particular minimum for you to go in or take out from. But that has to be there. So there's some things that are unavoidable and there's nothing we can do about it. However, there's certain things that we can make sure. And the basic thing is having a feedback system that is efficient. Not just for the sake of having a feedback system, but something that there's a back and forth, because that's the only way we can improve. If you don't know what's wrong with you, it's going to be difficult for you to improve if people don't tell you. So it's up to the airlines to create a robust feedback system, And even if you can't do it yourself, you can outsource it. These things can be outsourced.
Yes.
It's not compulsory that you handle everything. You can outsource these things, and the outsourced company will probably do a much better job for you at it. So it is feedback. There's no two ways about it.
You said something about customers expecting response, not just response, but timely response as well. Because if a customer complains about something and it takes the customer service department 2 months to respond, that is poor customer service. So timely communication is very, very important. So if we have to sum it up to you, basically passengers are not expecting too much. They just want to fly on time departure.
Yeah.
They want to fly safe. They want to have the best of in-flight services.
Yeah.
Not necessarily food on board, but how they are treated on board matters a great deal. So I hope organizations will take a cue from this and use it to improve on their services, because the reasons why they are in business is because of the customers. Okay. So thank you. This is where we end the show for today. We do hope you found today's show interesting. If you did, please remember to follow all our social media platforms. And Tolu, thank you for coming again today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you for watching. See you again soon.